I'm going to show you how to use Brokk's session history effectively. So the session history is this panel in the upper right that has an entry for every time you interact with Brokk. So the entries with the little AI icon mean that you were interacting with the AI, and sometimes, but not always, that means changes were made to files on disk in response to the changes that the AI proposed. If it doesn't have the AI icon, look at the context panel here. Without the AI icon, that means that I'm manipulating the context, but I'm not talking to the AI. I'm not making changes to the content on disk. I'm just making changes to what is in the AI's workspace. So these last four entries, I was iterating on changes to this coder class, which shows up as an uncommitted change here. I can undo entries one at a time or redo, but I can also undo to here. So undo to a point in time in the history. And as I do that, it undoes the changes that were made to files on disk. And so that's why the coder class disappeared. Because it no longer has uncommitted changes. I undid those changes. Now I actually want those changes, so I'm going to put them back. And before we do anything else, just going to commit those really quickly. But the other thing I wanted to show you is you saw pop up when I right-clicked here. Besides undo, there's also a reset. And what's the difference? The difference is that reset does not affect what's on disk. It only affects the workspace. And the reason you might want to disassociate those or decouple those is that development is usually not a linear activity. And my history this morning illustrates that, because I started off building an agent to understand project build systems. So as of making this video, Brokk infers a single incremental build command that it uses to check whether the code changes are sane, do they compile? But I also want to have a clean build command integrated and a build the full assembly and a run all the tests and a run a subset of the tests and so forth. And that sounds easy, but it's complicated enough that I think the best way to get a high quality result is actually going to build a specialized agent. So that's what I started working on. And then as I did that, and as I discussed with the LLM the plan to build this agent, I realized that we had some functionality missing in that coder class. And so I set up the context to make those changes. And the coder class is what manages sending requests to the AI and parsing its responses and applying changes. So I had some changes I needed to make there. So I went off on a side quest to do those changes. And now that I'm done with the side quest, I want to go back to what I was working on, which is the build agent. So I can just go to the point in history before I started my side quest and choose reset context to here. Now, before I hit that button, I'll call your attention to one more thing, which is that at this point in time in the history, I had 4 messages in my conversation with the LLM. So I'm going to hit reset. And now I have the same content in my workspace, but I have 32 messages in the history. And that's because it's retained the entire history that happened in between. And that's deliberate, because sometimes, even though I've gone off on a side quest, sometimes that's going to be relevant to what I want to pick up on now. In this case, it isn't. And so I can go ahead and just drop that out. And so that's going to clear the conversation history. And I'm ready to go back to working on the build agent. Thanks for watching. I hope this is helpful with your work and you enjoy Brokk. Thank you.